If you're searching for a do-it-yourself primitive bunny pattern and how-to video, welcome to this one. In this tutorial, we'll be making this bunny, Sir Walter. By the end of this tutorial, you'll know how to do all the facial features, eyes, nose, and smile. Customize your bunny into a boy or a girl and make it to suit your taste and style. We'll be making this reversible vest. That way you can change it out for each occasion and make further custom clothes for your bunny. Join me in making Sir Walter the primitive bunny. Welcome to the Dandy DIY. I'm Elizabeth, and today we are making this primitive bunny rabbit for Easter. Back at Christmas, we made this primitive snowman. It's the same identical pattern. We are truly enjoying this pattern. The link that you'll find in the description box down below will say the snowman pattern, but you will know that it is the bunny rabbit pattern. And what's unique about these two is with the snowman, we made the body a little more round, we made the hands with a muffin style, and we gave boots to the feet. With the bunny rabbit, we are usually I did buttons on this doll. I'd already made it, and I just basically made the straight feet with a little bend here versus the boots. I shortened the arm lengths to make the arms, and I also used the arms for the ears. So when you get your pattern and you download it, just know you need to cut 3 sets. One for the ears, one for the arms, and one for the legs. And the body being a little slim, but in this tutorial we're going to do the face, and you're going to learn about making this reversible vest. It is 2 ways so that you get 2 different looks. You can make your bunny rabbit into a little girl if you wanted to, where this one's personality, as I was making it, seemed to become a little boy. So uniquely enough, you can get these different looks by simply making it 2-way, and it's simple to make, and without any concern about measurements, you'll be able to see how I devised the vest. And you can also leave it plain without anything and just put a little satin ribbon on it like I did mine. The unique thing about having the clothes to be reversible is you can get different looks. So this way at 4th of July or Thanksgiving, even Christmas and other occasions, you can simply change the look of your bunny rabbit's clothes and of course fit it with accessories. And here we go. We have a whole other look to the same bunny rabbit that we are loving and enjoying. And these are just great to sit about or give as gifts. So thank you again for visiting the Dandy DIY. Let's get back to the video and making our beautiful primitive Easter bunny. Now I've already assembled my muslin doll, and the head's a little different. I attached the limbs with a button so they're mobile and shapeable. And what you're going to find is you can shorten the arms a little bit. So as you can see, this doll is flat on the back and the face kind of protrudes out. And you can find the link for the pattern down below. Here's the pattern, what you can expect and anticipate, and cut you an extra set of legs for the bunny ears. Leave it on the fold, and we want to make sure that we have a round edge for bunny ears and not a point. We're going to go up here to the head, and we're going to use this kind of a eye gauging about the length of the chest and determine the length of our bunny ears. So we'll put those together, and let's just trim off the difference of this because we're not going to need it. We now know we have it long enough for our ears, so let's just give it one more look up here at the top of the head where the seam is, and the whole length of the chest, and about 1/2 inch width is where I'm going to break stitches and plant those ears. So I need to cut a little bit off of these folds, but make sure you don't cut on the folded side, cut down the raw edge. So I'm taking off 1/4 inch and making sure that both sides are 1 inch wide, and that looks about right. So now all I have to do is close up these. Now let's look at the face and give it a good look. Mine, I used 3 strands of cross stitch thread, or you can use number 3 cord for embroidery thread. But we need to give it a look and see. You always have one good side and one side that looks just a little bit better than the other. And that's how you determine which is the front or the back of your doll. Simple as that. Now I'm going to show you the easiest way, the peace sign. If you'll put two fingers together for the peace sign, you can determine the distance between the eyes and the eyes to the nose and the nose to the mouth. Get your pen and you're going to draw a triangle. This is where we're going to place a satin stitching for his nose. And the bunny nose is a triangle shape. So it's real simple. Just do that really quick. It only takes a moment. And we're going to do his smile and his eyes. So after you get done shaping the nose and putting it exactly where you want it and determining his smile distance, you'll know where to plant everything. Next thing, grab your thread and your cord. And we're going to create a satin stitch. So go in down at the bottom or one of the corners and bring it out in one of the corners and pull it through just enough that it disappears, but you don't pull it out, you leave the tail within. Now go to the opposite side and make sure when you put your needle through, you want to come out just beside of where you originally your threads are coming through. And as you're watching me here, I'm fishing to make sure I bring it out just beside of it. The 3 strands of thread are going to spread out and relax, and that creates that nice satin stitch. So make sure you don't pull it too tight. You just want to pull it through. And as you kind of brush over those little strands of thread, it'll spread out and make this beautiful satin stitch. So go about working back and forth, back and forth. It's going to look a little angled when you're doing it, but once you finish it, you'll have it filled in. And everything will be in direct proportion exactly as it should be. Just do as I have and, just keep working until you get the whole little triangle filled in with thread and go all the way down. Once you get done with that, you might want to trace around it if you want to. It's up to you. Now we want to create his little cut per se for his mouth and his little cheeks. Now we're going to create a smile. So we're going up the side in direct line with the bottom tip of the triangle, his nose. That way you can determine how wide his smile is and where to start and end the smile. So do a little 1/4 inch back stitch and make your smile. And if you do it wrong, the great thing about using your embroidery thread is you can pull it out, rethread the needle without removing the thread, and then just go back in. The muslin fabric is very forgiving. Any kind of 100% cotton thread is very forgiving, as well as the fabrics. So we're creating his smile. We've already got his nose, and he is truly having a personality here. Now mine became more of a boy, but as you're working on your muslin doll, it may start reflecting the personality of a little girl. You'll know the further you start going along. And trust me, I had anticipated for him to be a girl, and he turned out to be a boy. Now I could make some modifications to turn into a girl, but here is where you can decide. You might end up making more than one, and one be a boy and one be a girl. And once you've got the smile created, you're going to feed that thread up through the bottom of the nose. Pull it a little bit when you clip it so that it shrinks and goes back inside, and it'll never come loose. It'll be in there forever. And then that way there's no knotting or tying off or wondering how you're going to keep it there. So let's make his eyes. This is a simple cotton wick stitch. It's very common in hand embroidering. When you tie your knot, leave a little bit of a tail on the end. There's a reason for that. So first we made our peace sign, grab our pen, and we're going to make dots for the eyes. Now there is no rule here. You do not have to do this basic embroidering. You could use googly eyes. You could draw it on with a pen like I have, make an X, a cross. But I'll show you how to do a candle wick stitch, if you've never done one, to create eyes on any of your muslin dolls. And this looks nice just with the ink. but my ink happens to be ironable and it'll come off. So take and put your needle in and grab just 1/16 of an inch. Just barely nip the fabric and bring it back up. And you'll pull it down to where the knot hits the fabric. Now roll your roll your thread around your needle 3 or 4 times, and then go back in and pick up just a 1/16 of an inch, come back out, and then slide all of those rounds down that cord. Make sure it goes against the knot in the fabric. And as you can see, I really pull down on mine and make sure I got all of them down there. Sometimes that happens. It don't just stay down there. You have to slide it down, but bear it in mind. And now take the thread tail and make a good knot. There's a reason for this, because we got to pull this really taut when we go to the other side. So tie onto that piece of thread a couple of times, make a good knot. Now we're going to go under all those little threads, and we're going to go out to the other side. And we're going to hit it about center ways when we come out. Now, when we get over here, we're going to pull real good, and you'll see this little dent form for the eye. There we go. We made an eye socket. Perfect for our bunny. Now over here, grab a 1/16 of an inch up and down, or down and up. Come up and make 3 rounds to 4 rounds of thread on your needle, and then pull it all the way through, sliding those rounds down. So we're going to make that 3 or 4 rounds, pick up that 1/16 of an inch, pull it through, slide those strands down, and voila, we have that knot there. Make it good and taut. Now we need to go up under these to create us a tie. And then we're going to go to the other side, and this is where we're going to pull it taut to get that dent. See that dent we're making there for the bunny's eyes? And then we're going to tie it off over here with this one little thread we still have. Go up under and back through again. Get that, just to make sure we get that just right. And those eyes will be there forever. They'll never come out. And we'll make sure everything's shaped up here. Fix it and shift it. And I'm taking the time to show you this because it's really neat when you can do this and you learn this new skill and put it into action, and it makes the authenticity of your doll truly, truly look old-timey, primitive, and handmade appropriately. So you'll cut that thread off once you get to the other side. Now you can cut the tail off on the other one, and you're done. We'll have this beautiful bunny face. Isn't that great? I knew you'd enjoy that. Now, let's move on to doing these ears. Now, I've already sewn down the side, and I did these on a sewing machine, and that way it made it quicker. And I'm just going to turn it inside out because I will have to tea dye or coffee dye these separate. Great news. Find the grunge recipe, link down below. And now that I've got it turned out, I need to show you something here. We're going to actually fold this, and there's going to be a unique way I'm going to show you how to do these ears. The main thing is that you will be folding it, and when you use your grunge recipe, it will give it a natural stiffener, so don't be concerned about that. But fold your raw edges in, and don't be too concerned, but those will be closed up here shortly whenever we go to the next step of doing the ears. So just fold that raw edge in, and that will easily be closed up. So I've already grunged mine. It didn't take long. They dry out in just a few minutes. And we're going to fold them in just like this, like a folder. We'll fold 1/4 of an inch on each side. And we're going to leave that open, but we're going to close this together and just about a 1/2 inch up. So that way, when I clip both stitches, I was able to put the ear down in there and then close it back together again, or stitch it back together. I wasn't concerned about the color of the thread. Remember, this is a primitive bunny. we want to look authentic. So I've already done one side, and you can see there's a little edge here. Now the reason why you want to fold this in on each side and then close that up, sewing that stitch up a whole half of an inch, and just catching those two pieces. Don't double them too far. You'll understand that when your ear of your bunny flops over, or if you add a hat, it will have this natural stiffness and it'll flip over properly for bunny ears. If you didn't do this step, they're going to just lay against your doll, and that is a personal preference. But I wanted to share with you exactly how I did mine, so if you wondered how I got that natural flip over and it's not just flat, and when they flop over they look really like a bunny that you traditionally see, you'll know how I did it. And this is what I did. I just did that little quarter in, closed that up, and now that half inch that I closed it up is going to be on the inside. So I'm going to take my seam ripper or your scissors, whichever works best for you, and I'm going to open that seam up in direct line with the eye. So pay attention to where you are clipping your stitches. You only want to be in direct line with the eyeball, and that may be on an angle. It's not going to be straight up on the top of the head. It's actually going to be down the side of the head a bit. And as you see here, I've got that open, and it's directly in line with the eye of the bunny. This way he don't look weird. It looks correct. And I just placed that down in there, that whole half inch that I folded over and sewed. And once I get that in place, making sure that my raw edges are folded in, I close it shut by sewing it closed. And that's real easy to do because you're going to catch your bunny's ear at the same time. So I'm going to show you how I put my needle in there, and I go across, and then just back and forth. I'm catching all of those fabrics, the top edge of the head along with the actual bunny ears, and it's going to sew them right into place. You want that half inch per se down in between the seams, because it's going to give it that natural standing that the ears do when they flop over. So I've almost got this closed up, and there we go. Whip that closed stitch. So a whip stitch, as you call it. And now when it folds over, see how they have this natural pitch? Oh, he's just looking absolutely adorable. And his ears are a little bit different. The reason being is they are total 100% cotton muslin, where his body is a fleece cotton. Now I bought these fabrics at Dollar Tree, and we're going to make a reversible vest for this Easter bunny. Now your primitive Easter bunny can be used for many occasions, and as you'll see, I've chosen these two fabrics, a stripe and a solid. You want to cut 4 pieces for this because you're going to have a liner for the inside, and that takes care of your raw edges. So just lay your bunny right down on your fabric. Your fabric pieces need to be 1 inch wider on both sides, the left and the right, the width of your bunny. So whatever the width of your bunny is, 1 inch extra on each side, and cut those 4 pieces. Get you an ink pen, lay your bunny down, and right here we're going to draw straight up beside of his head. Turn up his arm, and right close you're going to draw a line where his arm would square sit if it were, say, stretched out as to hug you. And if you do this, this is my easy measure math. This is how I make my own patterns, customize it to fit the exact doll that I'm working on, and everything is custom made. And it's real quick to do. All I have to do is cut where I drew those lines. Simple enough, just snip it out. We're just cutting that little corner out. All right, let's give it another look because we need to accommodate the neck. And we just have some small sections here that we've already marked, and we're just going to cut that little nip out. Now, the reason why we're using this extra is for seam allowance. So trust me when I say each one will be customized. And once again, we're just giving it another look. So voila, we have our back made for our vest, and it's coming around the sides, which is perfect. This will give us our entire seam allowance and our neck. We now have our main fabric and our per se liner fabric. So let's work on the front. This is real important. So you're going to put these together, and because we've already did the width of our bunny, we need to cut these in half. So make sure you fold them as even as possible and cut them right down the middle. Now we have 4 pieces. Let's work on one side at a time. Now we're going to allow that overhang of our ½ inch or so on each side, and we're going to allow for the top. The first thing we need to do here is accommodate for the arms and that it's coming about. And that's all we're going to worry about right now, is just marking it for the arm. And once again, we're just allowing that little extra above the shoulder area, and we're going to put an angle on the inner part. So follow what I'm doing here, and you do the same if you desire to do the vest. So I've just rolled the doll over, that way I can mark it. And once again, we're going to take the arms and we're going to mark at the shoulder and the neck, because this is where that's going to have to come together when we sew it. We're going to raise that arm up and pretty close draw a line. And this takes care of this one side. So we're only working on one side at a time right now. Once we get this marked, we pretty much have a roadmap for the other side. So one side is really all you need, and you can cut them each. Now, once again, we're going to cut out this one little rectangle spot. This is almost like making the little folded envelopes, or, a little bag. Now we've got that part. Now we need to determine how much of an angle we need for our vest front. And remember, you'll have buttons. So we're just going to do a little bit of a fold right there at the corner of his neck. And we're going to come down because we need that lapel edge to put our buttons on. And so we're just going to make a little crease per se. That way we know we don't have to go too awful far. And remember, when these are sewn together, they are going to be taking care of the raw edge, so we won't have that to worry about. Now it's just a matter of taking our scissors. We've got our little mark, and we're just going to cut it. And it's that simple. It really is. So don't overthink it. Just go with it. And remember, there's no such thing as mistakes or errors or messing up. They are all little gentle purposes that we want, and we end up with these fantabulous pieces that we created. So just lay the one on the other and make sure that one is the opposite of the other. So if you're looking at a striped fabric, you want your solid fabric against it. That way it's directly the opposite of the first side. Now here we go. When we separate these, voila, we have both sides along with the liner. And it's perfect. Our buttons are going to match perfectly. We'll only need a couple. Now we need to sew these pieces together. So what you're going to do is you're going to take all of your per se solid pieces, and you're going to sew the shoulder to the shoulder and the sides to the sides. That's all you're going to do right now, is attach these. You're going to attach down the side and at the shoulder only. That's the only pieces you need to sew the seams, the top shoulder and down the side. do your striped fabric the very same way. Once again, put them together, sew the shoulders together and down the side. Shoulders together, down the side. Now, once you get those 3 pieces attached to each other, you'll attach them to one another and sew them all the way around to create the vest. Put your buttons on, and voila, you will have your vest. So as you can see, the buttons are going to go on the same side of your vest, whether it be on the stripe or the solid. And then, of course, you're going to have buttonholes with a seam ripper, and I just put a little bit of thread around them just so they don't ravel, and that way I can take my seam ripper and tear a hole and place my buttons, and voila, we have our pink vest, and we had our stripe on, and tie a little velvet ribbon around his neck, and that just gives him personality. You could also put a little bit of blush on the cheek areas for that little pink blushy. And as you can see, he sits up straight and beautifully poised, and he looks so handsome. My daughter named him Walter, so this is Walter, Sir Walter, Primitive Easter Bunny. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you check all the links down below in the description box for your grubbing recipe, the pattern, and if you need to know how to sew him, you can follow that video as well. Let's show off his beautiful stripe vest. We've already seen his pink one, and along with the rest of the gang of the other dolls that I've made, you can find here on the channel. Until the next creation and DIY, this is Elizabeth, and I'll be crafting y'all.